Hi guys, we're going to do the sprite based game, and sprite just means a image or a little graphic, which is ours is going to be the LED that moves, or we can make it move. Okay, so I've already provided you the code in your booklet, but I just wanted to explain a few features that you might find hard to find when looking at it on its own. So first of all, we're going to tell button A that when the player is located in a certain position on the x-axis, we're going to move it by -1. And when B is pressed, we're going to tell the player on the x-axis to move by 1. So one's going to go to one side, one's going to the other. And we're going to start the player, so that little sprite, little icon, the player is actually going to start on the actual coordinates of x is 2 and y is 4. Now, just to take a look, x is 2 and y is 4. That's the coordinate. So we should have a game that starts there. Let's see if I can start the game. And you can see that that's 2, 4. X, y, 2, 4. So that's the actual coordinates of where our player starts. So let's just clarify again. If my player starts on coordinates 2, 4, that's where it starts, then when I press button A, I move by a negative on the x-axis, and if I press button B, I move by a positive. So if I press button A, I move on a negative, and if I press button B, I move on a positive. Okay, so that's the first part explained. The second part I need to tell you is, if you might notice, these dark green blocks are part of a toolbox called Game. And you can see here that it says create a sprite at. It's got lots of different features in here. Is sprite touching, and you can make games that actually do things if the variable, whatever the variable may be, is touching another player. Okay, so all you have to do is actually change whatever the variable. So if I threw that out and I changed it to whatever my variable may be, so an obstacle, for example, I could put that in there and so forth. I'll just get rid of that. Okay, let's take a look at the actual code that's forever, just to explain it a little bit in more detail. So in this game, we are forever going to pause, and when we pause, we're going to pause for about 4 to 6 seconds randomly, and then we're going to set a variable called obstacle, and we're going to create a sprite at the x-axis, and it doesn't matter where. So on the x-axis, it could be, I'll just stop it, and it could be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And y-axis is we're not going to go up, so we're never going to go up. Okay, so we're always going to be at 0. So it's only going to be on this axis here. We're going to repeat this 4 times. So we're going to pause for a very small amount of time, and then we're going to have an obstacle change on the y-axis by 1. So one obstacle is going to go down the y-axis. If there's a player touching that obstacle going on the y, going down, it's game over. So if we touch, it's game over. And then we're going to pause, and then we're going to change the score by 1, and you're going to see the score change because my screen lights up for shorter than a second. And then we delete the obstacle, and then we forever do this again. So if I play the game, and I'll make my simulator bigger, and I press play, so I can move my player. Remember, it's only on the x-axis. If I touch, it's game over. And it should actually print game over. Okay, let's do it again. This time I'll try and not lose. Okay, and I get a score. So when it lights up, it's giving me a score. So that's 1, 2. 3. 4. So it's quite easy, but you can see that I'm not losing. I didn't get game over like I did the first time round. Okay, so take a look at this code. Remember that you're using game for the dark green. Obviously you've got your basic, which is the blue, the basic. So that was your forever loop, your pauses. You've got a few logics in there, and you could use like the trues. I think that's everything in there. Give it a go. Make sure you got negative and positive, and make sure your coordinates are correct.